Do you ever start a scrapbooking project or a journaling project or a card making project only to find yourself overwhelmed that you end up quitting halfway through and never finish? Or you end up looking at it only to be disappointed that it took a detour and looks nothing like you initially intended it to look like? Hey there, I'm Christine and welcome to my channel. I'm here to help you set up, organize, and plan your creative scrapbook daytimer using stamps, ephemera, pockets, tags, and even a mini album insert. So today, plan with me right to the end of this video as I show you the first step on how to set up your scrapbook daytimer for the year using stamps. So this is my scrapbook album for the year. It's called Mon Carnet de Poche, which translates into notebook, book of stamps, book of tickets. And you can see here, it's really a daytimer, which I will transform into a scrapbook journal for the year. And because we're going to be doing a lot of stamping, using ephemera, adding tags, and a little mini album within the book, I'm going to have to remove some of the pages just so that it doesn't get too bulky. You want to be able to close the book. So that's what I'll do here. Now this paper is absolutely beautiful. I will keep it once I've removed it because I'll most likely use it for something else. First thing you want to do is plan. Choose your 3 to 5 stamps that you're going to use. And then what you do is you do rough copies. So here I designed 3 stamping pages. And then what I'll do is stamp maybe 5 to 7 pages within the album of these images. And the reason why I say 5 to 7 only is because you have to remember there's going to be ephemera in the book, tags, and lots of collaging. So you don't want to fill all your pages with these stamped images. After you've chosen your stamps, you want to choose some stencils. But the first thing you want to do is choose your inks. In this case, I'm using distressed ink in peeled paint. And what you want to do is prepare the areas you're going to stamp. It acts like a border for your stamps, a place where you will be layering stamps and stencils and other stamping techniques within this boundary that you've created by this stamp. And in this case, I like using the blending brushes because it's kind of a softer hue that it deposits. Now, I usually use the Tim Holtz blending brushes, but I find that they'll leave hard edges sometimes if you put too much pressure, whereas with this brush, you can put a lot of pressure and you can see there aren't any hard edges. It's still quite soft. With that being said, I will still use the Tim Holtz blending brushes in this album, and you'll see where I will use it and you'll see why I use the Tim Holtz blending brushes. Now, after you've prepared the images or the areas to be stamped, the second thing you do is you grab a stencil as another layering effect to your stamping. Now, this is where I'm going to use the Tim Holtz blending brush, and I'll still use the peel paint, but you'll see how stiff the brush is compared to the other blending brush. When I use this with the stencil, it allows me to deposit more color and saturate the image that I want on the page. Do you see how beautiful that is? How much darker you can get with the one ink just by using the Tim Holtz blending brush. Now, after you've stenciled, the next thing you do is you choose an image that you want to put onto the page. And in this case, I chose Studio Lights Grunge, and I really like their stamps. I think I'll use the VersaFine Onyx Black here. If you want to really show the detailing in the stamps that you're using, VersaFine is by far the best for detailing. Now, the third thing I usually do is I'll add text, but because this hand is writing, I find that scribble effect right there is the text for this image. So you won't see any text here. And what you want to do is repeat the whole process again 5 to 7 or 10 times throughout the album, depending on how many pages you have. And this is where it becomes quite therapeutic because now you're not thinking too much and you're just really enjoying the process of creating, especially when you're forced to craft in segments like 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, and you really want to get that therapeutic feeling of crafting. This is where you can do it. You're like, okay, I've designed the page And now I can just freely create. Now, one of the things after you've done your text stamp, your stencil, your image, I always and try to add one stamping technique that makes the page stand. In this case, I'm using the Nouveau Crystal Drops in pale gold. What I'm going to do is just place it on the squiggle marks where the pen is writing. Okay, so once you've done that, and you've done that 7 times, you want to move on to your second page. And I used the same process here. Distress ink the area to be stamped, stenciled it, stamped an image, used a text stamp, and then added one stamping technique that would make it stand out. In this case, I'm just going to use the Distress Oxide in the same color, and you can see how different it is. It's a little bit more opaque than the peeled paint. I really like this page because I'm going to show you, again, we're doing the basics of preparing the stamped area, stenciling, adding your image stamps and your text. If you find this video helpful, please stamp the like button so that it will spread to the rest of our crafting community. The fun part is adding that one stamping technique that makes this page really stand out. Now, one of those techniques here is I used the washi tape, and that's pretty simple. That's easy. But here I'm actually going to use one of the ephemeras, but before that, I want to show you this. I'm using old pages from a book and a dictionary that I actually ordered on Etsy, and these are beautiful. As you can see, this one was published in 1908. Anyways, it's just beautiful. And I'm going to show you how to use this in your album using tape. Now, a lot of people will take this and tear it apart and use it in their junk journaling or making collages, which you can do, but here I'm going to do a little different because, again, we're going to be using a lot of ephemera and stuff, so I want to try to keep the stamped pages as simple as possible. And this is a great way to make your own ephemera. And what I'm going to use is tape. All I use is Scotch tape. This is a really great way of taking that text off of the page and adding it to your stamped images. Do you see how that worked? And then here I am placing some ephemera using Recollections repositional adhesive. And this is great because you can just remove it. You know, it's just there temporarily so that when you do decide to put photos, if you do decide to do it, you can just easily remove it and then permanently adhere it later. The next couple of pages I'll be showing you follows the exact same rules I've been using throughout creating this album. And what I did firstly was prepare the background, but in this case I used the Distress Ink frayed burlap and then stamped it with an image. I actually used the smoky gray in this case because you'll see later on a lot of the 49 and Market paper actually have smoky gray in the text, so I thought I'd incorporate that ink. That's actually going to be a photo that I will place later on in the future. But I wanted to give it a little bit of a border or a frame around it, and so what I did was I masked out the outside of this area and then stamped it with these stitch stamps. Now, if you're not sure how I did this, I'm actually going to show it in a video at the end of this video. If it's not posted at the end of this video, give me a week, I should have it posted. But it'll show you how to mask an area like this. And then what I did was, I know I was supposed to stick to one design element, but in this case, I wanted to add 2. So I have this effect here, and then I added this effect, and that is embossing powder. But it's not just your regular embossing powder, it's Tim Holtz embossing glaze. And I like this for one reason. It's because it allows you to see right through the glaze onto the ink. It's a great technique, especially if you are layering different techniques on one top of the other and you really want to show off what's going on underneath that technique. This embossing glaze is awesome. You don't want to complete all of your stamping at this time. I usually leave one design element, which is an inspirational text, for when I've journaled or added photos. I really hope you enjoyed this stamping formula tutorial. You feel like you want to produce an album that has a cohesive look and a particular aesthetic that spans the entire scrapbook or journal, then you won't want to miss the next formula tutorial on how to layer with ephemera, which I will place right here once that video is completed. Until then, check out this next video that shows you a completed scrapbook day timer that used this formula and allowed me to craft anytime, anywhere. It allowed me to take it on trips and even to work. Take care and we'll see you soon. Bye.